these 7 areas are at risk in your country. I've mentioned the one who spearheads this kind of projects, Bill Gates. Remember that I told you some time ago, I believe it was in 2023, and then I re-echoed the same thing to you in 24, about the nefarious plans of the satanic globalists to use different methods to try to control nations, especially after their failures to establish the kind of world they wanted to establish in 2020 with the COVID and the Luciferian regulations. So they kind of worked through the period to try to find out where they went wrong. They wanted to know what their mistakes were. And foolishly, they believed that they found their mistakes. But I warned you about what they would like to do. So they're working on it, thinking that that's where their mistake was. Well, no, they didn't make mistakes in terms of hatching out their plans. They collided with a greater power. That's what happened. But then I told you they're going to work on several areas, which is what they're doing right now in several African countries and Asian countries. And I've mentioned the one who spearheads this kind of projects, Bill Gates, and his projects. I told you about his interest in philanthrocapitalism, which is a scheme for using philanthropy as a cover, a subterfuge for capitalism. So he's not a philanthropist, neither is his foundation a philanthropic organization. It was set up for what I just called it for you, philanthrocapitalism. So for those nations who are deceived and believe that the Gates Foundation is some kind of organization that hands out help to nations, what you should ask yourself is, at what cost? What is your country paying for it? What are you losing? Of course, throughout these nations in Africa and Asia, same thing in many other countries, of course, but these ones particularly are under the radar at the moment. One of the problems they've got is because they're told they're poor. They're told what their GDP is. They don't understand GDP, which is a fraud. They're told what it is. They're told the measure of their wealth. As a result of that, they're always reaching out for handouts. So they believe they have to borrow money from the IMF, which they help set up. The money the IMF gives to them was already theirs. And then the World Bank. These are not helpful organizations. It doesn't matter that they elect some Africans to chair their board at any time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that can be done for appeasement. Appeasement is not enough. African nations don't need handouts. They don't need them. And so I told you they're going to be working on several areas. And I'm going to mention 7 areas where they're working right now, trying to twist your laws in these areas. I told you. And I said, review your laws. And every new law or amendment of your law since 2020, go check. You may need to fight it. may need to fight it. You've got to do something about it. And I'll give you the areas that you have to look at, because they are not in the interest of your country, only in the interests of the kleptocrats. Let me read. Number one, environment. We're working on environmental laws to capture your environment. That's state capture, really. What environmental laws are they making in the guise of controlling climate change? A hoax. If you really believe in climate change, that there's been climate change, global warming, and so on, you are deceived. I feel sorry for you. Doesn't matter how many PhDs you have. You've been led astray. You read the wrong books. You went to the wrong school. You have the wrong mentality. You are not asking the right questions. They're very simple questions you can ask. How can you be so fooled? For example, I think it was 2 years ago when I said that the population of the world was given to us with the wrong estimates, dubiously given to us with the wrong estimates. Now the whole world accepted the population estimates. You all accepted it. Oh, we're like 7 point whatever billion people around the world, going to 8 billion. And when it hit 8 billion by their numbers, which they put on the internet world population page, everybody was happy about it. But it was dubious. I raised the question, how did they come about the numbers? Because I did my own research, I found out they lied. It was based on nothing. Absolute nothing. No scientific estimates were used. Nothing. They created the number they wanted and then broke it down to the smaller figures and appointed numbers to nations. That's all they did. Crazy stuff. Who would have believed that was what they would do? Who would have thought so? And I gave you the information. They don't have the workforce. There was no scientific method whatsoever. You would have assumed they somehow did some satellite whatever. Nothing. Nothing. And some of the data they give you, guess how they get some of them? They send out university students to different places to go collect what they call data. Ask questions in the streets. Write down the reports. We all went to school. And they did send us on some of those jamborees. How accurate were these things? How many students actually came back with the right information? And how many people you were interrogating in the streets gave you true answers? How foolish have we been? And then you let somebody impose their conclusions on dubiously accumulated data on you. Well, that happened in 2020. Won't happen again. Won't happen again until the rapture of the church. Won't happen again. And so what they're doing right now is a failed project. It's a failed project. So I'm telling you the areas they're working on in your country, and you better find out. They're working on new laws, new regulations on the environment. 1, healthcare. 2, food production and agriculture. 3, land use and ownership. 4, water resources. 5, elections. 6, and especially trying to get countries to use electronic voting, which is the first place for election fraud, election manipulation. Don't accept those electronic voting machines. They are a deception. They are a deception. They're a deception. Who controls it? Who controls the programming? And number 7, the justice system as a judiciary. These 7 areas are at risk in your country. Find out what laws are being crafted or have been crafted since 2021 or even 2020, from then till now. And don't take this lightly, because they are weaponizing the law against you. They want to make the laws useful to them, with which to dispossess nations.